Hi there. We've got a quick little practice for you here where we'll be focusing on our spinal strength and health. We'll be strengthening our core as well, which is so important to the way your spine moves and keeping it strong and healthy. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you have a block handy, go ahead and grab it. We're going to be doing one thing with a block, but it is not necessary. So if you don't have a block, it's okay. You'll make do without it. We're going to start in child's pose. So sit back on your heels. Big toes are touching and bring your knees out about as wide as your mat. And you'll reach forward, bring your forehead down to the mat. Now some of you may need to bring your hips away from the heels to get your forehead on the mat, and that's okay. Not everyone can do both, having hips down and forehead on the mat. So get your forehead on the mat and really focus on the lengthening of the spine. Reach those arms out long. I like to come up onto my fingertips, stretch a little more into my chest and shoulders. Press the chest and shoulders down as you're up on your fingertips. You could even put a little rock into it, dropping one shoulder down and then the other. Just whatever feels good here. Stretch into the spine. Focus on lengthening the spine and stretching through each side of the waist. And then two very important things that you'll need to know for this class are two bandhas, our mula bandha, our pelvic floor. So you want to engage your pelvic floor, pull it up and in as if you're stopping yourself from going to the bathroom. And your uddiyana bandha, your low belly, pin your belly button back towards your spine and engage your entire abdomen. You want to try to keep those bandhas engaged as we move through our practice today. It's going to help support your spine as it's moving, as it's bending and twisting. So anytime you realize you've lost that engagement, that's okay. Just get back to it. One more nice, strong breath here. And then we'll come up into tabletop on our hands and knees, setting up for some cat-cow. This is a really great posture for resetting the spine. So maybe every morning when you wake up, do this one thing. You want to make sure fingers are nice and wide, press into each knuckle. Our shoulders are stacked over our wrists, hips over the knees. And we'll inhale, drop the belly, tilt the pelvis forward, pull the chest forward, look up. And then exhale, push the ground away through your hands and knees. Suck your belly in, look towards your belly. Inhale. So move with your breath here. You want to initiate this movement from your belly button each time and have your gaze be the last thing to move. Inhaling forward, hammocking the spine. And then exhale, arch that spine. Reach it up towards the ceiling. Feel that stretch along the back of the vertebrae. Inhale and exhale. We'll do one more round here. And then tuck your toes, press into your hands, lift your hips up, come into downward dog. Pedal out your heels a little bit. You can work into the backs of the legs some. We really want to lift the hips up nice and high. Your feet are hip width apart, toes pointed straight ahead, again pressing into each knuckle of your hands. Try to look towards your belly, suck the belly in, press the ground away from you through your hands. So feel your shoulders protract, nice strong upper back. And then slowly walk your feet up to meet your hands. You can push into your hands as long as you possibly can, activating that core. We'll keep our feet hip width apart here and hang in ragdoll. So you'll just hang the upper body over the legs. You can grab opposite elbows above the head to create a little more heaviness as you hang. Lift the hips up. It's okay if the knees are bent slightly. You can even sway a little side to side if that feels good. Feel that stretch along the back. And then we'll go ahead and slowly roll up to standing. Stacking each vertebrae. Maybe roll the shoulders. So if you are familiar with sun salutations, I suggest pausing the video and taking about 3 sun A's to really get your body warmed up. Sun A's are a wonderful thing for your spine all by themselves. It sends the spine back and forth from flexion to extension. So they're a really great thing to do for your spine. Again, maybe a daily thing that you do. If you have maybe already done a workout before this video and you're nice and warmed up already, then you're good to go. But I suggest making sure that your muscles are nice and warm before you continue on. But for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead now and we'll go into our first posture, Ardha Chandrasana Half Moon. I'm going to turn to face you for this one. We want to bring our feet together, heels and toes touching. If you need to modify, though, it's okay to have your feet hip width apart for this. So feet together if you can. You want to really build that strength up the legs. So engage your quads so that your kneecaps slide up the legs. And then again, pay attention to those bandhas, pelvic floor and the low belly. Very important here as we bend. Inhale your arms up, interlace your fingers, release the index fingers, glue the palms together, glue your biceps to each side of your head, maybe even pull those arms back a bit if you can. So we're really strong. Quads are contracted. Our abdomen is going to be contracted here. We're going to inhale, lengthen, suck your belly in and lift your ribs away from your hips. And then exhale, really squeeze the abdomen, contract the abdomen, squeeze those ribs back together as you bend to the right. Keep in mind, I'm not mirroring you here. I'm not good at that. It's too confusing. Weight is back in the heels. Our glutes are engaged, our hips, quads, everything is really engaged. So this whittles the waistline. It tones our hips and our thighs and our rear end, but only if you're engaging those muscle groups. You should feel this in your back. Your upper back is working really hard here. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards one another behind you. Try to keep the chin lifted so that breathing isn't too difficult. And then we'll inhale, come back up, and exhale over to the other side. You want to keep your hips and your shoulders squared to the front of your mat so you're really flat from the side. And you don't just rely on your flexibility to dump into this. Belly is really engaged, especially that supporting oblique to hold you here. Those bandhas, engaging those bandhas is what keeps your spine safe in these bending and twisting positions that we're going to do today. And we'll inhale, come back up, and we're going to take a back bend now. If hands get tired, you can always bring your hands to heart center. Really root down through those feet again. Engage the quads, lift up out of the hips, and then exhale, reach back, go back, look back. Try to keep the arms in line with the ears. Keep your chest lifted. The entire back is working really hard here, holding you in place. Squeeze those glutes. And then inhale, come back up. Exhale, pull your belly in, making sure to keep the spine safe as you bend forward. We're going to bend into the knees, glue our chest on our thighs, reach around to scoop up our heels from behind. If you can't get there, modify and grab your ankles or your calves. That's fine. Once you have your grip, inhale, lift the hips up. Let your head hang. Use your grip to pull your body down. It's okay if knees stay bent. You want that compression, keeping chest to thigh connection. Pinch the elbows towards one another behind you. Let your head hang heavy, stretching not only the backs of the legs, but into the lower back as well. One more breath. And then release your grip. Your fingertips can come to the mat for support. You're going to heel toe the feet apart so that they're about 6 inches apart. You can measure here with 2 fists between the toes and the heels so your feet are nice and parallel to the edges of your mat. We're going to come up into chair. You're going to sink the hips and inhale, reach the arms up. Sink your hips as low as you can. My right knee is acting up today, so I'm not going to come down too low. I'm going to give you some options here, though, if you want to take them. Sink the hips low. Maybe lift your heels up. Come up onto the toes. Keep the hips low. And then you can drop the heels down, then bring them up, moving with your breath here. Do that a few times. Maybe just stay here and hold. Maybe work on those, bring those arms back a bit more, keeping the tailbone tucked just slightly belly tight. Good, and we'll go ahead and exhale, release. Mountain pose. Let's take a breath. And then we're going to come into balancing stick. So you want to plant your right foot. We'll inhale our arms up, interlace the fingers and release the index fingers. Glue your biceps to each side of your head here and hold. You're going to teeter-totter forward. So chest is coming down. That left leg is coming up. Trying to make a capital letter T with the body. Keep your belly tight. It'll help with balance. Reach in opposite directions here. Keep the left hip rolled down. And then we'll go ahead and release, coming back to standing. You can exhale your hands down. Notice that heart rate went up. Quick posture, but gets the heart pumping. Inhale your arms up. Same grip. Left foot plants. Teeter-totter forward. Keep the right hip down. Spin that right inner thigh up towards the ceiling. Pigeon toe that right foot. It'll help keep the hips in line. Reach. Lift those arms up a little more. Lift the right leg up a little more. And release right foot meets the left. Arms down. Take a breath. And then we're going to come down and do some plank. So step back, plank. You want to make sure you're pushing the ground away from you. Shoulders protracted, belly nice and tight, quads engaged. If you need to modify, drop your knees and hold. We're going to hold here about 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Side plank. Right hand plants. You can drop the bottom knee if you need to modify. You could even stack the feet, bringing that left foot back or forward, or stack left foot on top of the right. Push into that right hand. Lift up with the left side of the body. Feel the upper back working. And release left hand down. Rotate to the right side of your mat. Push the ground away. Reach the entire right side of the body up. Right hip, ribs, arm. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to your plank. And see if you can't lower down. Elbows in tight to the body. Belly tight. Coming down for cobra. So we're first going to zipper up our legs like we have one tail, like a cobra. Hands are at push-up position. Exhale. Inhale. Peel your chest up. Not much weight in the hands. They're just there for support. Really drive down through your feet, through your hip bones, lifting up, working that low back, working the glutes, and release right ear to the mat, arms to your side. Take a breath. We're going to bring our chin to the mat and get your block if you have your block. If you don't have a block, it's okay. You could actually use anything here, a book or nothing at all. Just mimic the movements. We're going to separate our legs, hip width apart, and inhale, lift everything up. You're going to take that block or whatever you have with your right arm and bring it back. Take the left arm behind you to grab it, keeping everything lifted. Left arm moves forward with it. Right arm comes to get it. Only moving one arm at a time. Go around 2 more times here. One arm at a time, keeping everything lifted high. Last time around. And then release left ear to the mat. Take a rest. Now, we'll take that block around 3 times in the other direction. So lift everything up. Left arm will start taking it back. Right arm will get it. Right arm brings it forward. Left arm grabs it. 2 more times around. Keeping heels in line with the shoulders. Keeping everything lifted high. Sticking with your breath. And then after those 3 times around, release right ear to the mat. You can set your block aside. And we'll come up into Sphinx pose. So press into your forearms and your elbows. You stack your shoulders over your elbows. Feet can stay hip width apart here. And you're going to tuck your chin towards your chest, really lengthen the back of the cervical spine. Now inhale, lift that right leg up and look up. And exhale, release your leg and tuck your chin. All right, we're going to do a few more of those. Moving slowly, inhaling up each time and exhaling to release. We're flossing our femoral nerve here, the nerve that runs through the front of your hip and thigh. Let's do one more time. And we'll switch to the left side now. So now left leg lifts as gaze goes up. And exhale, release it down. So this is important to the health of your mid-lower back. One more time. And then you can come to rest with your left ear to the mat. Take a breath. And then we're going to come up to a seat on our mat for reverse plank. This really works the back side of the body. You're having to really drive the whole body up by using the strength of your back and the back side of your body. So to modify, you would take a reverse tabletop, which would be knees bent, feet hip width apart, and you're pressing into both hands and feet to lift everything up. Otherwise, reverse plank, we keep our legs straight, legs together. Exhale, hands are behind you slightly. Inhale, lift up, lift the hips up, lift the belly up. Try to roll the feet to the mat, the big toes to the mat. If you need to tuck the chin and look forward, that's okay. Otherwise, drop your head back. Push into your hands, lift everything up just a little bit more. One more breath. And release. And let's take a forward fold. So reach forward for your lowest grip. If you can grab the feet, wonderful. If not, grab ankles or calves and just fold over your legs. Let your head hang. And then we'll inhale up and onto our knees for camel. So knees are hip width apart. Hands will come to the lower back with fingertips pointing down. And hands can stay on the lower back for support. You're going to inhale, lift your gaze, lift your chest, and exhale, round back. Keeping the spine long as you round. Now, if you can see pretty well behind you, try reaching down for your heels. Once you have your grip, try to bring the knees or the hips back forward over the knees. So big back bend here, huge opening of the front of your vertebrae, huge compression on the back of your vertebrae. If you're needing to keep your hands on your low back, that's totally fine. If you had your grip, you'll bring your hands to your lower back to come out nice and slowly with control. Take a seat on your heels. Now your hands were here in camel. You just slide them straight down to cup your heels, which is kind of hard to do while you're sitting on them, but we're going to move off of those heels here. You're going to tuck your chin, round yourself forward, pull your belly in, try to get your forehead on your knees or as close to your knees as possible. Now you can really get a good grip. Cup those heels. Inhale, lift your hips up high. Now we have a huge opening of the back of our vertebrae, big compression on the front. Camel and rabbit are in Bikram sequence. Bikram would say, a camel and a rabbit a day keeps the chiropractor away. Really pull on your grip, suck your belly in, and slowly round yourself back up. We're going to come down onto our mat and lay down on our back here. Bend your knees, toes pointed straight ahead, setting up for bridge. So you should be able to feel those heels right there at your hips. Exhale. And inhale, lift the hips up. So a great place, if you do have a block, you can put it between your knees and really squeeze that block as you come up. You want to try to roll your shoulders underneath you, maybe then taking a clasp with your hands. Push into the feet, lift the hips high, lift the belly, lift the ribs. Really create a back bend. You should feel all the muscles along the spine working, glutes engaged. Let's pull back energetically on our heels. Fire up the hamstrings too here. Wonderful. Go ahead and release it down. Hug your knees in. Take one knee in each hand. And we're going to take those knees around in big circles, sacrum circles here. Loosen up, release the low back. You're going to go around in one direction, drawing huge circles, as big as you can. And then we'll go the other way. Now you can keep those knees in, bring your arms out to a T, drop your knees over to the right side of your body, coming into a twist. You can look towards the left thumb, taking that twist up into the cervical spine as well. Feel that heart rate starting to come down. One more breath. And then bring your knees back center and then drop them to the left. Look right. One more breath. And come back center. And then release yourself down into Shavasana. Let your palms face up, fingers gently curl. Relax the shoulders down the back. Take up as much space as you'd like. Let your feet flop open. Notice how you feel here. Notice the weight of your body pressed down into the ground. Melt yourself down. Surrender, relax. And you can stay in Shavasana then as long as you'd like. Nice job. Namaste.